Survivor specialists are back, and it's Phil and Robert today, better known as Intern, but he put Robert and it threw me
Where's
off.
Alexa?
But,
I don't even know.
I actually don't know where Alexa is, but it was one of those weird things where Alexa and I could not find a time that was going to work for both of us for the entire weekend. So instead, we brought
substitute specialist Robert. That's what we're here
we brought in
for.
substitute specialist Robert to I don't know, I guess be new Alexa. We decided it'd be better to have me on the podcast than
New Alexa. Yeah, there you go.
I knew she was never going to listen to this, so I can say as many mean things as I want, right?
Yeah.
She does listen.
Alexa has bad opinions.
Yeah, she had bad breath, bad opinions, everything. Everything.
Smells.
Yeah, that goes with bad breath. Anyway, we're at final 10 of season 41. And we just had a pretty good episode last week. I quite enjoyed it. I think, Robert, I forget, what was the last time you were on here with me? I feel like it was definitely, you definitely filled in after my epic bitch fest, right?
Yeah, but that means that I was with Alexa. So I don't know when the last time we podcasted about 41 was. Someone tell us in the chat or something.
But how, you obviously filled in when I was just like, screw this isn't worth my time, don't care. Right. What did you think of last week, though? And what did you ultimately think of Sydney getting absolutely screwed?
I mean, overall, like, yeah, this Survivor season is weird, but I'm still enjoying it. Sydney, I think, yeah, she got screwed, but I still think that, like, I don't know, she couldn't have known that Deshawn was going to use, like, an extra vote, right? So,
no.
I mean, like, yeah, it was, like, very, very unlucky, and it's like, oh, if she didn't use her shot in the dark, like, she could have tied the vote, but, like, she didn't know that she could have tied the vote, right? Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I think, I don't know, I miss Sydney as a character because she was great. I don't know, I think it's fine so far. Last week, I thought the only thing that annoyed me last week was that I've never been someone who hated whispering, but the whispering last week was like, it's a little much.
Really thought Heather was going to end up screwing herself.
Yeah, and I think that's why ultimately I was okay with it, because it's like, what is Heather doing? Like, she's in danger. She's just blowing up her spot right now. But then it turned out that she was fine. So, like, obviously she's in a much better position than we think she is.
Well, do we think she's in a better position, or do we think that people are just kind of trying to drag her to the end at this point?
I mean, I guess it's not a good position for winning, but it's still a good position for not getting voted out if you're getting dragged.
That's true. Yeah, because I think that was pretty telling. I think people just want to keep Erica around as long as they can, because Heather. I think that people don't really see Heather as a threat to win. Now, we might get like a Kelly Wigglesworth type episode very, very randomly, where all of a sudden it's like, they're the biggest threat in the game, and then they just go home. Yeah. Maybe we'll see that. But I give Heather a 0% chance of winning just based on the edit. And I think people are just trying to kind of keep her around. They know she's not going to beat them in challenges. So what danger is she really? It's kind of like Sari in 34 before they actually had the fire making challenge at Final Four. You knew you were never going to let Sari into the Final Three. Like, she never had a chance to make.
It could just be that where it's like, yeah, she's good for now. Everybody like collectively knows that, like, no, we're not letting her get any further.
Yeah, exactly. So here we are. We just had Tiffany go home, which Adam Klein was a Tiffany truther, had Tiffany at number 1, was very convinced that Tiffany was going to ultimately end up winning the game. A lot of people were very convinced that Tiffany was getting a big comeback edit.
I was on the train. I saw enough Adam tweets that he was like, dude, Tiffany's going to win. And I was like, yeah, dude, I think Tiffany's going to win. But
well, I had her at like number 7 last week in my power rankings. And after talking to Adam, I was like, you know what? You've convinced me. I'll move her up to 5. That's why you don't listen to Adam, man.
It's just Adam propaganda. Yeah.
I mean, it's not, we shouldn't have been surprised that she went home, but it seems like everybody was surprised she went home. That's weird. It
is weird.
This is like when War Dog goes home after voting out Kelly Wentworth. Like, no one was surprised with that, but that would have been like us all being surprised he went home there. We shouldn't be surprised by this, and yet we were. I guess I thought it was going to be Evie, but once Evie won immunity, I think it just totally
and then
made
people
sense.
Thought it was going to be Heather, but then all that. There was a bunch of other stuff that we didn't really see. So
yes, exactly. So anyway, here we go. Then we have 10 people left. It's 5 people still from the original Luvu and 5 combined from the other tribes.
Right.
Wait, is it 5 combined from the other tribes? Yeah, because there's still 3 from Yase, even though Liana's kind of hovering somewhere in the middle. What are you thinking for how this is going to play out? Do you think there's going to be any type of tribal lines? Do you think the the Black Alliance is going to be the one that actually ends up taking over? What do you think is going to happen moving forward?
I know that we've been talking about like the camp out or whatever. I guess it hasn't really been as prominent of like their decision making like in the episodes, but they're still obviously voting together. I know that I know that another big storyline was Ricard and Shan being like, oh, they're the last two from UA. Man, I still don't know where this is going, because it feels like, I mean, there was the Yase 3 that we had, and that's been cracked. I think, man, this is a tough one. I think that they ultimately are gonna like stick together. We haven't seen any. I guess the only real cracks that we've seen are like way early on when Deshawn was like, "Oh, let's get out Naseer" or something. But I guess I don't know. Luvu just seems like so connected right now that it's like everyone else being disconnected is like absolutely their advantage. So
yeah, and like I'm wondering what's going to happen with the Deshawn and Shan situation now, because Shan is obviously pushing his buttons. And Deshawn definitely seems done with Shan. And if he's done with Shan, there goes your connection kind of to the rest of them. So now it makes me think, okay, maybe Liana hops over with Luvu. But I feel like the Luvu group is going to be strong. The only thing they would have to worry about is idols or something like that, and somebody actually playing one. Because if I'm not mistaken, Luvu only has Naseer's idol. I don't think they have any other advantages. I don't think Erica or Heather have anything. So, Deshawn uses extra vote, and Danny has nothing, right?
Another question. Did Tiffany give Xander's idol back to him?
Yes.
Okay.
Cool. Yes. Everything is back in Xander's possession.
Got it.
Yeah. So Xander's good. And I'm going to put Deshawn at number 1 for this week.
Okay.
I think that Deshawn's in a pretty good spot for this stage of the game. I think Danny is a perfect meat shield for him. I think that Deshawn is definitely going to push back against Shan this week. But if that relationship ultimately ends up petering out, I think that we're going to see Deshawn have the upper hand, because I don't see Shan being able to pull enough people. I don't think Xander is going to work with Shan. I don't think that's something that he's really interested in really at all. So I think that if Shan were to like come out on the wrong side of this, I think Deshawn always comes out on the right side. And I think there's bigger threats than Deshawn right now. I think Deshawn is in almost a perfect position to win this game. He's got a majority alliance. He's got people around him who are bigger threats. He's got goats he can still drag with him. Somebody in his alliance does have an idol in Naseer, and he knows where the other idols are. I think he's in a really good position to win this thing. Now, obviously, anything can happen, and it's Survivor Season 41. Drop the 4, keep the 1. But it's Survivor Season 41. I just think that we're going to ultimately see Deshawn come out of whatever attempt to get rid of a Luvu there is.
Yeah, I think overall I agree. I have Deshawn at number 2. I have Danny at number 1. The only reason besides that is like Danny has shown himself to be very physically capable in challenges, and we did have like a little bit of like, Deshawn's in a really good spot right now. Maybe we could get him out. And other than that, like they are very, I mean, obviously they're a tight duo. They're very close together. Like even like usually, I saw something on Twitter. Like usually the meat shields, like the physical players don't make it this far without some sort of like, hey, they're gonna win all the challenges. But like Danny has, and that's really, really good. And also being aligned with someone like Deshawn, who is also in such a great position of all this information, and but obviously socially they're both in a fantastic spot. Like I think that they're doing really well.
Yeah, I worry for Danny every week just because of Survivor history. And that's why I never put him super high, just because in Survivor history, they always try to turn on the meat shield. Like it just happens. They want to get rid of him. But when I'm looking at him right now, like he's got to be playing one of the best social games we've ever seen from somebody in his role, because he has not gotten a single vote. He's gone to 2 tribal councils where he's been at risk post-merge, still hasn't gotten a vote. Name is never coming up. He must be doing something incredibly right now.
Yeah.
And I cannot wait to see what ultimately ends up happening with him. I think that if he wasn't 6'3" and ripped out of his mind, I'd probably have him as my favorite to win the game right now because I think he's playing that well. However, I just feel like at some point they're not going to let this guy keep going through the post-merge. And if they do try to come after Luvu, why not go after him? He's the biggest guy. You know that Naseer has the idol. Hope that Naseer won't give it to Danny. It seems like Naseer is totally playing for himself in terms of his advantages and things like that. Try to get rid of Danny because he's the perfect specimen to play Survivor.
I think like yes, but also like if people are already paying attention to Deshawn, like why wouldn't they also be like, oh, this person, like they are someone that's keeping the the Luvu group together. They have all the information, they have all the social bonds. Why don't we get rid of them instead? And like Danny could still just win immunity, and like they're now, oh, if we're targeting Luvu, like now we're targeting Deshawn. So I mean, this is like very nitpicky of like who's 1-2, but like ultimately I think I mean, who is your number 2, Danny?
No, my number 2 is actually Xander.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
I've been putting Xander up higher than most people recently. So yeah, I have Danny a little bit lower because I just worry that if they try to come after Luvu, it almost feels like when Tim Bira started to lose the control in Tocantins and they went right after Tyson right away, even though it seemed like Tyson was in a really good position. That's what I kind of feel like could happen with Danny here. But I have Xander at number 2. Yeah, he just lost his closest ally.
Dude, I love Xander though. Xander's so good, so fun to watch.
I think he's great. I think he's great TV. I think he's a lot of fun. I think he understands the game. And I look at it as he has an extra vote. He has an idol. He knows he doesn't have anybody close to him. Even Evie, he doesn't 100% trust anymore. If he doesn't win immunity, he's playing his idol. Like that is going to happen. Now, granted, we could see an idol nullifier. We could see something ridiculous come up that ultimately stops him. But I don't think that that's going to happen this week. I don't know if the idol nullifier is going to come back after what happened with
even
Jen.
Though idol nullifiers exist, it's still always safer to have the idol. And like maybe an idol nullifier happens than just like, oh, I don't have an idol because I'm worried about an idol nullifier. Like, it's stupid. So I
agree. So I have Xander here at number 2. And the thing is, too, if Xander plays his idol, he could also play his extra vote at the same tribal council to ensure that if it's like a 5-4 or something like that, and he thinks, oh, they're going to try to nullify my idol, I'll play the extra vote, and maybe that's enough to swing things in his favor. So.
And I think even with Xander, something that I think is really cool about Xander is there's always like the roles of the edit or whatever. Like there's always like a storyteller and always like a strategist. I feel like Xander is like, he's kind of both. Like he's very good at telling the audience what his strategy is. So we're like, oh, I get the reasoning why he's making these decisions, which I think is like very cool. Also just makes me love him even more because it's like, oh yeah, dude, you're doing this, like you're doing all these cool moves. So it's
and it reminds me of how they were editing Shan at the beginning of the game, and I think Shan now is just very, very hungry, and I think Shan's starting to lose it a little bit. But it reminds me of what they were doing with her at the beginning, where she was a great narrator, she was totally in control of what was going on, and so we got to experience a lot through her. That's a lot of fun when that happens. And so I'm very much into what they're doing with Xander. I think that other than Heather, Erica's starting to build up. She's coming along here. I think other than Heather, they've done a really good job with the people who are left. I know early on in this season, a lot of the people who are getting massive edits are the ones who would then ultimately go home, which is kind of a bummer. But I think they've done a pretty good job now of kind of getting us into the head of these final 10. I feel like I know all of them pretty well with the exception of Heather. No clue why Heather did what she did. And Erica just keeps on, falling into these weird neutral positions.
I mean, losing the rock draw twice, pretty rough.
Rough, but I still think that, I don't feel like we know much of her story except, she's having bad luck, and that is it.
I mean, hey, maybe it'll be a cool, sick, good luck turnaround thing at the end. Who knows?
Maybe.
Yeah. My number 3, you've done number 2, right?
Yeah, I've done 2.
Okay. My number 3 is Heather. I mean, I thought she was in a not good spot up to this point, but probably because I just didn't know anything about her. But now it's like after last tribal where she was just doing stuff. And I was like, is she voting herself out right now? Is she going to is she causing all of this? And then she was fine. And she told Tiffany, don't worry. And then voted Tiffany out. Obviously there's something going on. And maybe people view her as a goat. Even if she is, like, that's still a good way to get further in the game. And if, you know, that's what our power rankings are of not getting voted out next episode, that means that she's good for making it through next episode. You know, she's in the Luvu, like, maybe not in the, I don't think she's in the camp out. I don't really know.
She's just in Luvu, I think.
Yeah,
I think she's just kind of latching on to the bottom of Luvu.
But with Luvu, if you're with Luvu, like, that's a good spot. So.
Yeah, I have Heather lower too. My concern with Heather is I feel like she's getting the stray bullet at some point. And final 10 seems like a time where that could happen. Xander now knows he doesn't have Tiff, knows Evie's kind of in the middle. Deshawn and Shan seem like they're going to fight, but maybe that's still an episode away. Like, it seems like if they were to go after Xander here, Xander doesn't want immunity and everybody goes after him, and he plays an idol, Heather could easily just be that stray bullet. They worry that Naseer would give his idol to Danny or Deshawn or something like that. With the edit she's getting, every time we see an edit like this, it's almost always them who go home in like one of these just
right. I mean,
random episodes. And Final 10 could be that.
Yeah, it could. I feel like the stray bullets usually are like 10 through like 7 or like 10 through 6 maybe. Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, like I don't think she could be like make it to final 3. I think it's I mean, there isn't really many spots left to be voted out in besides like stray bullet or like, you know, making it to the end. But you know, I still think she's fine. Like I could see a stray bullet, but like, you know, there's still wiggle room left for that stray bullet window. So I think there are other people that are more actively in danger for this next episode.
Yeah, I'm going to go, and I'm actually going to put Liana at number 3, and it seems like we're on, like, totally different wavelengths, so I wouldn't be surprised if you have Liana a lot lower. I think Tiffany going home actually helps Liana. I think that it kind of strengthens her bond with the people who aren't in Yase.
Yeah, okay.
And I think that Shan is now the one who will be targeted by that group, whatever. Like, it seems like it's a group of 8 right now. I feel like Shan would be the one who would have the potential to be targeted there, blowing up Ricard in front of like everybody at camp. Never a good move, even if it's your number 1. So I think that Liana has actually moved herself back into the good graces. She has no teeth. Everybody's going to remember like her getting blown up by Xander at Tribal. That's a bad look going into a final Tribal. She's got to do some recovery here. And I don't think people are super threatened by her, but I also think she's somebody who could win in a couple of immunities, who could do a couple of things here moving down the line. And if things got bad enough, I do think she could go back to Xander and Evie and say, look, this other alliance I tried is blowing up because Deshawn and Shan are fighting. Let's work together. Let's get Heather and Erica. And no way Heather and Erica are going to beat us. Let's win this thing. Because it seems like Heather and Erica are kind of on the bottom of that. Or she goes over there and says, Shan and Deshawn are fighting. Let's get Shan and Ricard. And now we have a group of 5.
Yeah, I was thinking that Liana was a lot lower, but I actually did a hot swap just now. Because like in the last couple episodes, like we saw Shan exposing Liana's advantage to Tiffany. And that's like a big thing of like, oh, I'm not actually as close with Liana that I thought I was. Tiffany's gone now. So that kind of doesn't matter. And Liana blew her advantage, you know, not really, it wasn't really her fault. Xander kind of just like outplayed her. I think like, yeah, she was in kind of a tough spot, but all of like the bad things that have happened to her, like kind of got washed away. So, I mean, I still think she's still in a weird spot with Yase, I feel. And I guess, yeah, I did move her up. I don't think she's still in like a super great spot because there are still people that we haven't seen them mess up at all, or like mess up less than she has. So, I mean, I guess I think I'd still be surprised if she went out this week, but like, I don't know. I think that you did convince me. You did change my mind a little bit there. So. Well,
good. Yeah. And I was high on Liana coming into the season. I was high on her throughout the early portion. Obviously, that merge episode was bad for her, so that's going to make us all low on her for at least a brief period of time. But that's not really her fault. I mean, things like that happen. We also watched Adam Klein get absolutely screwed with the whole Taylor situation, and he goes on to win the game. So who knows? So I think Liana could still rebound. I think Liana could actually still win this game.
I mean, yeah. I think almost everybody still has a chance to win this game.
Except for
Heather based off of edits, unless randomly she gets like, you know, 10 every episode from now on, you know.
She's going to Natalie White her way to the finish line and get
she could. I mean, she
15 or whatever.
She could. Like, I'm not, It's possible. And
Imagine
then,
coming back from a year without Survivor, and that's what happens. That would be a disaster.
That'd be hilarious. That'd be
A
so
disaster. Who you got it for?
Number 4, I have Xander. Xander's he's killing it. I love Xander. Great strategist. I tweeted out like, oh, he knew that he wanted to swap out with Erica on the bench because he saw the advantage, and then I quickly had to remove that tweet from existence.
I still think he saw the advantage and just didn't want it.
He didn't want it. Oh, that's
what I was saying in the recap. Like, I think he was looking around. I think he saw it and said, I don't want to touch it, but nobody else gets it now. So whatever.
Yeah. I mean, either way, I think that was like a very, like a real good move, right? Like, I don't know. No one's going to be like, fuck, man. Like, Xander took out our food.
Yeah.
Whatever. Like, who cares, man? I think he's playing well. He's playing like that. The thing he did with the fake idol is just like incredible. I was freaking out. Everybody was freaking out.
Mm-hmm.
He's doing great. He's doing fine.
Yeah.
Watch us eat our words or whatever next week.
No, I actually think Xander, I would be floored if Xander went home this week, maybe even more than Deshawn. Maybe I should have put Xander at number 1 because I would just be floored. Like, how are they getting him this week? He's got the idol. He knows he's on the wrong side of the numbers. There's bigger fish to fry. If they want it, he could win an immunity. Like, how are they getting Xander this week?
I think it's like, this is like a very weird, like abstracted concept in my mind. I feel like Danny is like baseline safer with everything. Xander, like he has like some really strong spots, but he also has some like chinks in the armor. And I feel like the chinks in the armor are where he's going to get hit if he goes out.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to put Naseer of all people at number 4. I actually think last episode was Naseer's strongest episode. I liked how his name came up and he literally was just like, do not put my name out there. Never do that. That is not okay.
Yeah, that was really good. Yeah.
It was really good. And the fact, I forget exactly who he said it to, but they totally respected that and then changed it on to Heather. Yeah. And I think that shows that Naseer's standing in this tribe is not bad. It's been a lot of talk of trying to flush out his idol. I think now
it also hasn't happened, right?
It hasn't happened, but I think he's heightened to it now because if you're already throwing out his name, well, now he's a little concerned and he might be saying, hey, if you're already going to throw my name out there, I hear my name come up again. I'm playing my idol because I'm nervous about this. I think, and I'll probably end up eating these words because, whatever. But I think Naseer will play his idol correctly at some point this season because I think people will try to get him. But I think they missed his chance last week.
I don't know if he's going to be playing his idol correctly. I mean, we've been seeing a lot more strategic decisions from like other people this season. We've mostly got like fun Naseer bits, which I'm like, I love whenever Naseer's on screen. I don't know. I'm worried that he won't play it correctly. I mean, to be fair, I also have him at number 5. I still think he's in a great spot, specifically because of that scene. I don't think that. I feel like he's in a lot better of a spot because of his social situation than because he has an idol. It just helps that he has an idol. So
yeah, I agree with you. I just think like. Maybe he won't play it right, but I think that if they were trying to do it this week, he's just aware that they tried, that his name was coming up last week. And I think that's you got to get the people with idols before their names even start coming up. And that's when they normally successfully are able to boot these people.
And that's like, now that he's aware of it, you can have your radar on, you can start like making sure that you bring not that anyone I think would not bring their idol to tribal council, but like, have it ready for a cool flashy moment or whatever.
Exactly. So. At number 5, I'm going to put Danny smack in the middle. I feel good about Danny, but just being who Danny is, every part of me is saying, what? No. But
yeah, I mean, it is like has like any other professional athlete been in this good of a spot as Danny has?
Mm-hmm.
Like maybe.
I don't think so. I mean, maybe Jeff Kent and then Johnny Mundo, if you count Johnny Mundo as a professional athlete. I know he wasn't one of the big 4, but he's a professional wrestler and he was in a great spot.
That's true. Yeah. Maybe Gary Hogaboom. I don't remember Guatemala that well though.
Yeah. I mean, Gary Hogaboom, I think is one of the best like players ever. And I put him in the 70s, I think, when I did my top 100. He was really good at the game, but he was not in a very good spot.
Culpepper. Yeah.
Culpepper, but yeah, Culpepper definitely played the best, but that was also his second time out. I guess I'm trying to think of people
That's
in
fair.
their first time
Yeah.
out, because in his first time out, he was not in that good
No,
of a
he did not
spot.
do well.
And
That's it,
Hogaboom was
yeah.
playing from the bottom pretty much the entire game. I would say this is probably the first time we've seen a professional athlete play from the top and continue to be able to stay at the top for as long as Danny has and continue to play so successfully. I think that's where I would say he's in a better position.
That is a good analysis.
Yeah.
Unless there's some random, like season with a professional athlete that I just don't remember or whatever. So anyways, yeah. I think Danny just being in the top 50% of the list is fine. My number 6, because just as a reminder, I put 5 as Naseer. 6, I have Ricard.
That's who I also have at 6. So that's
I think Ricard and Shan are going to break up.
We're all going to cry about it.
Nobody's going to cry about it. They've been breaking up for 4 episodes now, and I think it's time that we get the papers in.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, people are getting a lot more annoyed with the Shan. We've seen Shan mess up a lot more. How did Ricard vote this last episode? Was he? I don't remember.
Ricard voted with Shan this last episode.
Okay. I mean, that's still fair. I mean, I think he's fine. I mean, everyone else I think is in more danger, which is why. I mean, Ricard down 6 through 10, I think are like in active danger and like
inactive. I think Ricard is definitely in active danger, but I think that Shan is ruffling more feathers right now. I think Ricard, shockingly, is actually kind of blending into the background a little bit, which I thought it would be the opposite once they hit the merge. But I said this in the recap. I think that Shan was so used to playing Survivor because they went to so many tribal councils that now she almost feels like an expert compared to everybody else who hasn't really played yet. And I think that's actually hurting her. I think that's hurting her right now because she's trying to overcompensate and overplay, and it's rubbing people the wrong way.
It could also just be like stress, like tribal councils are stressful. And if you've had to go to 4 more tribal councils than everybody else, and it's like, I am just freaking out because I also don't have any food. Like that also could do it,
Mm-hmm.
So, and as much as I like Shan, like it looks like she's not doing well. So
yeah, no, I agree. I'm gonna put I don't know if I should put Heather or Erica at 7. I'm gonna put Heather at 7.
Okay.
I'm gonna put Heather at 7. Don't really have much to say. Still think she could take the stray bullet. Worried. And Jordan Alford says, if Shan is ruffling feathers, why not keep her around? I think she's ruffling feathers in an unpredictable way. And when people ruffle feathers in an unpredictable way, that's when you have to vote them out because you just don't know what's going to happen. Even if they're going to struggle to get votes of final 3, you need to get rid of people who are unpredictable. And right now, Shan feels unpredictable. She feels like she's playing emotionally. You got to be able to play with people who are thinking more strategically and ruffling feathers in kind of like a Russell Hantz type of way rather than I could just turn around, hey, you pissed me off, Ricard. You ate the food, and now I'm going to vote you out. Like, that's a scarier person to play this game.
Yeah, like you don't want to bring like if you're holding like this like nuclear mass that like could explode in your hand at any point, like that's dangerous. Whereas if people are thinking that Heather is the the one that isn't going to turn on you and is loyal, then like that's the person you want to take to the end more.
Yeah, I agree. All right, Who else you got? Who you got at 7?
7, I have Liana. I did have her lower, but I did bring her up. She's still in danger. Again, like we've seen her mess up around other people, which I think is like kind of scary. And even though like some of that stuff did get washed away, like I hope that she improves her spot because I really like Liana. I think her friendship with Shan is like fantastic and really compelling. It was like one of the most natural moments we've had in a show in a while when they went on their hike, I guess.
Yeah.
Liana's great. It is also part of being like part of the fractured Yase 3. I mean, she wasn't even a part of the Yase 3, and they were like, I guess we're with Liana, but now they're like kind of not. She does have ends with Luvu, which is very good. But also, I think that she and Shan, she is aligned with Shan, and Shan is in a bad spot, which tangentially makes Liana in a bad spot.
I agree with pretty much all of that. I just think that Liana's benefiting from the fact that she played that advantage so poorly. I actually think she's benefiting from that. And Liana is likable enough. I think she's game savvy enough that she could turn around the perception everybody has of her and win the thing. But I think right now people are just looking past her and more worried about other people. And I think that's the best thing that could happen to her right now. It's almost like she's got like a more likable for the players out there, because I personally love this person, but she's almost got like a more likable Sierra Reed thing going on, where everybody's just totally underestimating her at this point. Because of like one bad thing, and then because of a couple blow-ups with a couple of contestants. And I think we're going to see some of those contestants that she has not gotten along with go home before her, like we saw Tiffany last week. I have not mentioned Evie yet. I have Evie very near the bottom of my rankings, if not at the bottom. I won't say yet, but like these people that Liana is kind of turning on, I think they're going to go before her. Will Liana get their votes at the end? Absolutely not. But can she pick up enough votes from around if she were to get to the end? I think she could.
Sure. There was another comment like 12 minutes ago from Anthony Poole. Only way Liana gets sniped is if it's because they target Shan and she becomes collateral. I think that is also
I think Ricard would
non-zero chance. I think Ricard could distance himself from Shan in like an afternoon if he needed to.
That's true. It seems like we're being prepped for one of them to distance themselves from the other.
Yeah, they're going to break up. It's going to happen. So it's just depending on when. And we've been getting that thread for a little bit now. So
I have Erica at number 8.
I have Erica at number 8 as well.
Okay, I figured you did. That's why we just throw those out there. But Erica, well, we were talking before this podcast. Erica's starting to come to life. We're starting to see more of Erica and all of that. But it's not necessarily what us Survivor fans want to be seeing.
I want to have known Erica already.
Yeah, and all we're really getting is like how random everything that's happening to her is. And random doesn't necessarily make for good Survivor stories. Random a lot of times just leads to no connection. Yeah. You want to be able to see this person build out their story, grow, whatever it's going to be. And right now it just feels flat out random.
I thought that after we got the whole like time travel thing that we'd be like Erica would be like, oh, she's like a major player now. But it's like, all right, like we're doing the immunity challenge again. And then like nothing happened. It's like, all right, man. Like I wanted to see more of you, but I guess the game decides not. So
yeah, and like we're not getting anything super compelling from her. We're just getting like, I keep drawing the wrong rock. Isn't that silly? Who cares?
It is. I mean, it is silly.
It is silly, but who cares? Like, you know, like I'm not connecting with you because of that. And I think
it would be pretty funny if it was like, if it's like, I keep getting unlucky, and then she has like one episode where something goes right, and then she gets voted out.
And that's when she gets voted out. That's probably what will happen.
If that's the arc, that's an arc I wish I would have on Survivor. I think that'd be kind of cool. I mean, unfortunate for Erica, but I think, and like going back to like strategy and stuff, like again, loosely lined with Luvu, was on the tribe, which is good, but you know, we've seen that she isn't really confident with that. And we also haven't really seen her. I mean, she voted to get out Tiffany. So like, obviously she's in the good graces there, but I feel like if they were to cut someone, if Luvu had to turn internally, then Erica would be the one that's going. So,
yeah. And Erica, we had so much in that one episode about how they were going to throw the challenge to get rid of Erica. That has not blossomed into anything. And that surprises me that there has been no real feud. There hasn't really been anything going on there. And I wonder what we should do. Like, I wonder if something's going to happen there. And if we should be looking at Erica as, is she getting a massive comeback edit? Or are they eventually going to be like, hey, you know what? This is our chance. We wanted to do it a long time ago. We don't trust her. Now we can get rid of her. I just think it's funny that that was such a focal point and it never turned into anything.
Yeah. I mean, maybe there's payoff later still. I don't know. I feel like even though we've had more like airtime with Erica, I feel like we know less where she is strategically than Heather, which is very strange. So, I mean, hopefully I'd love to know more about her. So
yeah, we'll see. All right. Who are you putting at the bottom of the barrel here? Who you got at 9? Who you got at 10?
Number 9, I have Evie, and number 10, I have Shan.
I reverse mine. I go Shan at 9 and Evie at 10. So let me hear your thoughts.
Shan, I think socially we've seen her kind of blow up a lot. And that's really what I'm concerned about. I mean, if Deshawn's annoyed at her, Ricard's annoyed at her, like those are the people that she is like very close with. And like, that's not a good spot. She doesn't have the idol anymore, right? Or does she?
She does. Wait, does she? Yeah, she does.
Yeah, she does.
Yeah.
Okay. Actually,
but here's the thing, and this is why I still put Shan so low. Shan has the idol, but I think Shan
she's
is
still in a
playing
bad spot.
Aubrey type arrogant at this point, like Aubrey in 38, where I think she's just. I think Shan is starting to drift a little bit.
I think she
in
feels
her
like
just thinking. I don't think she's as sharp as she was 10 days ago.
I think it's she, and again, we literally don't know because it's like two less than the 1% of like what goes on. It feels like Shan is playing like she is in a higher status on the tribe than she actually is.
That's exactly
like
what I
feels like
couldn't think to
Ricard is being defensive and like, all right, I'm just here. I'm not trying to make any moves. And it feels like Shan, I mean, maybe I'm sure Ricard is also trying to like rock the boat and stuff, but it feels like sorry, a comment. Trojan Pony, I'm baffled how y'all can have Shan and Evie below total non-factors like Eric and Heather. It doesn't make any sense. It's not that like I think Eric and Heather are still like they still both have a vote, right? Just because we don't know anything about them doesn't mean like.
Well,
I think the thing that I'm getting at with Shan and Evie is like they are in actively a bad spot, which is better than like a neutral spot, right?
Well, and not for nothing, Heather and Eric have been total non-factors all season, but if we would have put them at the bottom two spots every time, we would have been wrong every single time.
Yeah, like there's something to them. You know, like they've been like neutral the entire time, whereas like Shan and Evie have like been at very good spots and have since dipped.
Yes.
With Evie, like we saw her get saved by Xander. Xander was also like that play was him being willing to cut Evie.
Yeah,
like
exactly. And I think that's where Evie's in trouble. Who does Evie turn to now? Tiffany's gone. All that's left is Xander. And Xander doesn't seem too overly concerned about making sure that Evie stays safe.
I think it's I think I'm higher on the Xander Evie relationship than you are. I think Xander is still down to keep Evie. It's just
how's he going to do it though? Is he really going to use his idol to keep her? I don't think so.
Maybe
he's in too bad of a position. But the thing is, he's in too bad of a position. He used his idol to save Evie. Now he's got no idol, and there's still only two of them.
Okay, but is in that position, you don't have an idol, but you still have two votes, and you got rid of somebody else. If you get rid of Evie, now you use your idol on yourself, but now you have no idol and only one vote.
No, I'm saying if he doesn't have to use his idol, if he knows it's going to Evie, he doesn't have to use his idol. Great, don't use your idol.
Sure, but if you are trying to, I think votes in the long term are better than one idol in the short term.
I would agree normally, but on a season like this, I think you just keep as many tools in your pocket as you possibly can because they've already shown that they're willing to have anything happen on this season, even if it doesn't make sense. So that's where I'm thinking, like, if I'm Xander, just worry about what you can control. Because who knows? What if they split the tribes? What if they split the tribe at Final 8? They split the tribe 4-4 or something like that. Like, what if that happens? Now he saved Evie, and now he's not even going to tribal council with Evie. Evie's at the other one, and they both just go home. Or they say, Evie, you're going to go to the island of extinction or whatever it's called, and you're not going to come to this tribal. Now he doesn't have a vote. Like, there's so many things that could happen. Okay. I would just totally
counterpoint to that. Like, there are so many things that could happen, but if we are in a spot where it's like, yes, keep the 4, drop the 1. We don't know what's going to happen, but I don't think it does any service to try to predict that. And so all you can do is play the game that you've watched for 40 seasons. Like,
and I think that keeping the idol is better. If you're Xander, you got to remember too, it'd be different if Evie had it because Evie just won an immunity challenge. That might be the only immunity challenge Evie wins this season.
She could win the next one. She could win the next immunity challenge.
Absolutely. But I'm just saying, might be the only one. If you're Xander came into the season saying he wanted to lean into the alpha male role. So if he goes out there and he can win every immunity challenge from here on out, like it's kind of like the James Clement scenario. Just play the dang idol because you can win every other one. I think that if he can go Terry Dietz this. He can go and he can win a whole bunch of challenges and still have his idol for when he really needs it. So far, I mean, Xander hasn't won an immunity. He didn't win immunity last week. He's still in the game. They still got rid of Tiff instead.
Right.
So I think that he's got them running in circles a little bit on if he's going to use the idol, if he's going to use it for somebody else, whatever it is. And they haven't been able to successfully flush it yet. And I think that maybe he has to use it this week. But I think that if he gets into a situation where they all say we're voting for Evie, I think he just does it. I think he just says, okay, whatever, let's just get rid of it and then just keep moving forward, because now you're at final 9. You know, at final 4, there's going to be fire. So now you have to get through 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. 1, you'll be able to do with an idol. You got to think you can win one of the next 2 immunities. Now you have 3 votes to get through. If you can get to final 7, that's when the game normally turns on its head. There's too many avenues for him to go to risk his game for Evie at this point when there's only the 2 of them.
I think this is I think this is a very close decision ultimately, right? I just think that, like, I just feel like you want those votes no matter what. Like, yeah, crazy stuff's gonna happen, but like you're still voting.
Yeah.
Right. Like it's not just like, oh, I mean, it kind of feels like it sometimes where it's like, oh, haha, you do something and then there's a twist. And now this is the only person that's going home. Oops, sorry.
Yeah.
But like clearly last week we saw Heather just be like, I want Tiffany out. And then Tiffany goes out. Like that still exists, as much as people say that it isn't, that it doesn't exist right now. I just think that like 3 votes is still a lot to get through if you're by yourself, and people think that, because like let's just say
what I'm also saying is I don't think he'll necessarily be by himself that whole time. If you can get to there, I think things will have changed so much. You're gonna have people blindsiding each other and all that it just opens the door for you to be able to just kind of sneak your way through.
Sure. I think I'm a risk averse person, so I think that I would rather try to stick with the person that I already have a friendship with and a relationship with than be like, hey, hopefully someone's ready to be my partner at final 7 and I don't have an idol and I don't have anybody else. So
yeah, I mean, I think it could go either way. I personally think Xander's playing it for himself. I don't think that he trusts Evie enough. I think that you brought up a good point. Once he said, hey, I'm not going to give this to you, Evie, he was proving that he's willing to let her go. And I think he'd be willing to let her go.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's also easy for him to mask it as like, oh, I know that we were fine, but like, you know, like it was still pre-jury, you know, like, I mean, maybe it is different now that it is jury, though, you know. Yeah. Like if you can cut anybody in any way before jury, and then it's like you don't have to worry about that. Yeah, so
no, that's a good point too.
Yeah, I don't know. Shan, man, I want Shan to come back. Like if we get another arc of like does really well at the beginning and then kind of loses it at the merge and then brings it back, like I'm down.
She could.
It's great.
I mean, I don't think there's any doubt about it. I definitely think she could.
Also, again, a very compelling character.
Yes.
Like I think that we've gotten a lot of very personal stuff from Shan and like got to see her relationships and like the game through her point of view, and that's been fantastic. So
I agree. All right, that's it. We're out of here.
That's it.
See you later, everybody. We'll see you on Wednesday night. Not Robert, but Alexa and Phil will be back Wednesday night.
Make sure to follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Survivor Specialists. If you want to follow us on Patreon, any dollar amount helps to let us do what we want to do. Follow Phil and I on social media. I guess social medias aren't here. I post things that I think are funny, but probably aren't to anyone but me. But if you think that's funny, then you should do it. Are we at 10,000 subscribers yet on YouTube?
Not yet. We're getting there. We're not
almost
there.
There. Tell your friends
probably
and
turned
family
away like 200 people when
to subscribe. If we can get 201 people to subscribe, then we make up for what Phil did. So that's okay.
Exactly. Can we possibly pull that off?
I believe in it. I believe in us. We still have to come up with a 10,000 subscriber special.
We will.
I am forcing upon you.
It'll just be you. It's a cool it'll be a solo show of Robert.
Just me. I'm just talking for 30 minutes about nothing.
Reading poetry about Survivor.
I'll do it. That would be
There you
funny.
go. There you go. Start writing now. We'll be there in a year. All right, everybody. We'll see you on Wednesday.
See you guys later.